Everybody, thank you for coming. It's I'm a little bit taxed on my brain a little bit over the last couple of days, but all good stuff. Yesterday, I was able to implement some code that was really good code. It's like almost the final step in everything. I think we have one more little thing to implement, and then we got to package everything together for the testnet. It's getting really close. I'm getting really excited about it because yesterday, for instance, I just ended up basically implementing this thing called multi-party computation verification. What that is it's the security that says, hey, everybody's doing their job correctly so everybody can get paid out. And so it's kind of the last thing. It's really security more than anything else. Everything else kind of works where we can dole out the jobs for everybody to do the AI. But this is like, hey, did they really do their job? Really, it's like the security part of that to make sure the payments don't go out to the wrong people and people hack. And I was able to put together that code yesterday, and we're debugging it right now. It's kind of this pretty unique system that my brain came up with, and it's part of the fourth patent that I'm putting together for Gnus.Ai, because it's kind of this cool system that uses what they call elliptical curve cryptography and ZK snarks to basically verify randomly that you've done your job. And so there's other things we can do, but what it does is it allows the blockchain to be secure so that when somebody basically does all the creates a job to do the AI, then it basically doles out the jobs, make sure everybody does their work correctly, and then brings that back. So it's securing both the computation for the requester. So if a company, an enterprise company says, hey, I want to make sure that this data is correct, or that somebody didn't hack it and I'm getting back correct data, it does that verification, and then it also verifies that everybody is doing computations, and then the payouts will happen correctly as well, so to make sure that we're not paying out the wrong person for the wrong job and all that. So that was implemented yesterday, and then Henrique is helping me kind of debug that to make sure that the payouts are going out correctly and that the computations, the verification of the computations are happening completely. And then I also generated a kind of a dummy or a really rough draft for the patent pending on that for the attorneys yesterday. ChatGPT did most of it, which is interesting. I had to correct a bunch of stuff on it, and wasn't great, but it was enough to give me a very rough draft to give to the attorneys to go ahead and get that finalized in a patent pending, which is cool. In general, though it's going extremely well, I think that any time now, once we get a couple more things done, like the debugging of this, and then we just have to package it up and put it in the SDK, and then we'll actually link all that with like the graph, the game that we have, and that will be given out to everybody to basically say, hey, just go play this game, and then you'll be earning money in the background while you're playing it. And then we'll be able to monitor that and have people come in and do, push AI jobs onto the system, hopefully from the command line or, through a user interface, which I think we already have set up. We have a submittal, a JSON file that we submit for the job, and that points to all the data and all that. So that stuff all works. We're just now packaging up everything for the SDK. You have anything to say about that, Brent? Do you think there's any real missing pieces? I mean, we're to me, I feel like we're right there. It's like any time it's all of a sudden, boom, okay, here it is.
That is absolutely the case. And, actually the kinds of things that you're commenting on is kind of weaving into the questions that are already on our list. And so we're getting a little ahead of ourselves. But I will say that, in fact, regarding one of those questions, which was, hey, you guys are really upping your game for the tweets we're putting out, et cetera. A comment to the fact that we like that momentum, let's have more of that. Well, that's part of the reason why that is the case is precisely because we are so close. And so there is a lot of energy on the team right now as we are, getting to that final gate to get this out. A lot of excitement. Ken and I are both, our whole team is just really, really focused. So actually it's kind of interesting to come out of light speed to pause, like, do this AMA. Okay, break. And do the AMA, go back into light speed again. So that's where we are.
Well, so that's a kind of a funny story, just so everyone knows. Brent came up to my office here in Menlo Park and basically sat here for 11 days, 12 days, 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah.
And just, what's that?
Almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, almost 2 weeks. He just went back to Mexico City yesterday. He's been up here since the 11th, and we basically hammered out a bunch of stuff, both from the company standpoint, in case I needed, a technologist to basically really understand the whole entire system, because, you just need a backup. I mean, we used to call it hit by bus syndrome. If I got hit by a bus, then, what the whole project goes to hell. That's what we used to call it. Like, you have to have a secondary person that kind of knows everything you're doing and has the keys to the castle, if you will. And so a lot of it, when he was coming up here, was that. But we also, there's a whiteboard. I'm looking over to the side of the whiteboard over there. Did a lot of whiteboard stuff for just in general the overall system to get just a knowledge transfer to Brent, but also to get this final phase done. And we did talk about this patent stuff, and Brent has this great saying about me is he's trying to take me out of light speed and or sample more often, because I sometimes talk so fast and skip a couple important details. And he talks about Nyquist theorem and how, I need to oversample you, Ken, in your stuff, because you jump from one point to the next and I'm missing some intermediary steps. And I'm like, I'm sorry about that, because I'm at light speed right now, just trying to get the testnet out. And it's hard to slow down, to give Brent the appropriate samples that he needs at times. So it's kind of a funny story. Any last thoughts? I mean, I think we could kind of roll into the questions if you want.
Yeah, I think that we're probably good to go. Given that we've already took a little bit of extra time just getting set up, so we might as well go ahead and just jump in. I'm going to take a look at this first question here. Let's see. Team has had lots of free coal marketing, but why no regular coals? Can we get at least one coal to show you guys are open to coal marketing? It will help the community.
We have one spectacular coal that is coming out that we've negotiated the agreement. Both sides have agreed to it. That is forthcoming. It's a pretty big one. We are just the coals were free because I didn't have to do any work on it. I've been focused on the testnet, and so I've been given the reins to a couple of my guys that I really trust to basically do the free coals. That's why that's happened that way, and so it's been good. And we as soon as we launch testnet, then we will really start going out. We're going to be doing all kinds of stuff. I have two. I did some marketing with Orbis 86 as well, so I basically gave us about between 6 and 10 events. I mean, these are in real life events, though, not this online coal stuff. But the one coal that we're going to be used, there's going to be some great exposure there, especially since they're like panels, and he's well known. And as soon as we sign the agreement, then we'll make an announcement about that. We'll have, I think, 3 or 4 kind of panels and discussions with him online. And then I'm also working on, like I said, Orbis 86, some events that are in real life in San Francisco and LA. I'm attending those. We're sponsoring those on purpose so that I can basically go to these crypto, blockchain, or AI side events, really, and not we don't really need to go to the big events because we don't need customer acquisition. But the side events are fine, and they're inexpensive because, I think I signed up for about 10 of them over the till 2025 with Orbis. And so, like I said, we have 2 right now, one in San Francisco, and I'm trying to minimize my travel just because we're trying to get Testnet out and travel interrupts it. But yeah, we are working on that. I know we're spending a long time on this question, but I'm also looking at some other big events with some family offices to try to get marketing in there, because I really feel that beyond the exposure of just, Twitter and X, that everybody, we need exposure to the enterprise companies of, because they're going to be our customers a lot of times. And so going to these, family office events or going to these AI side events and things like that, once we're launched, it's like people are just going to be, when can I sign up? I mean, we've already seen this a lot of times. So that's kind of why I'm trying to minimize my time on vetting calls and getting the right calls in there. But I have a great team now. We just hired a couple guys that are sort of hired them. I mean, they're basically getting some marketing money for themselves and to find the calls for me. And they're actually community members that you guys would really like. I don't know if they want their name exposed, but there's 2 or 3 of them that came on board that are starting to do this. That's why the free calls have been happening. But full plans on going full force with this after Testnet's launched. It's going to be great.
Okay, I'll consider that one done and done. The next question here. Is the main testnet still planned to be launched by the end of next Monday or by the end of Q3, or is this launch dependent on these soft launch stages?
Yeah, so the soft launch is the testnet launch for a minimum amount of people. I mean, we kind of did it in stages on purpose. I'm being conservative because of security concerns, basically, and scalability. I mean, I'm sure it'll scale. We've done our due diligence on that, but, you never know. And I don't want to have any hack go on and things like that. So we're going to do a kind of 100 or so soft launch, and then we're immediately going to be going on to the next phase. And so phase 1 is like, hey, 100 people come on board, and then right after that, we're going to be like, okay, 200,000 nodes from NextLogic, let's get you guys, implemented. And so it's really between phase 1 and phase 2, it's just a milestone, more of, hey, phase 2, 200,000 came online, but we're bringing them online for like a week or 2 just to make sure that their systems operate. And so the phase 2 is really a milestone saying, hey, they're all going and they're ready and we have them online. And then phase 3 is like the additional everybody's online. So it's really we call it phased, but it's really, okay, we're launched, but we're trying to onboard. It's an onboarding phasing kind of thing more than, the testnet is waiting to be launched fully. So yeah, it's an onboarding phases more than anything else. So I would really, in my mind, consider that really launched because it works for people, but we just need to onboard, and we want to onboard slowly, like I said, so we make sure that something doesn't break. Any your thoughts on that?
This is going to go back to the kind of recurring comments that we've been making, when the number of people who are, number of nodes looking to come onto the network is quite high. So, we have a good problem, a very good problem to have, which is everyone's banging down the doors to get in. So, and it's kind of our job, kind of to be gatekeepers and say, well, hold on, let's do this right. Let's make sure everything is, we dotted our I's, we crossed our T's, and we're seeing the traffic on the network as we anticipated. And let's see. I think we'll do is just.
Let me make one last comment on that. Just so you guys know, like NextLogic is a prime example of this. Okay, we have all their nodes, but we had to go back to Allwinner because Allwinner didn't include a driver on those devices, and so Allwinner gave us those device drivers that we're going to include. food, and that's for Vulkan stuff, so it can do that. And those are the low-end devices, which will eventually be replaced with a little bit higher-end devices that have that stuff built in. But because the devices are so old, they're Android 10, they didn't have that built in. But Allwinner had the device driver, so we spent a couple of days with NextLogic saying, hey, Allwinner, give us this device driver so we can install them on those 200,000 machines. So that's just an example of why we're kind of taking our time to scale. It's like if we put our program on there, it just wouldn't operate until we got those device drivers. And so, but just kind of one other comment about the integration side of things. If everything lines up, like for us, if you have a game that's on a newer Android device, it takes less than 20 minutes probably to integrate with our system, if that. I mean, it's changing one line in what's called a make file and then linking, and then boom, you're done. So, but that's one of the reasons that we're kind of being conservative about the onboarding process, because we could have 1 million people come in and do that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, this one little thing happened over here. Now we got to figure out how to solve 1 million people's problems. And it's like, that's pretty scary to me. So we're slowing it down a little bit.
Yeah, trying to work out the surprises. Yeah. But that's what you get with a rollout. Okay, we'll move on to our third question here. When will game devs be able to use Genius tokens for their in-game economy and NFTs? Will it be part of the testnet, and how will that work? Yeah,
the testnet for sure. Right now, you can actually, we have the ability to, like for instance, create your own token under the Genius token, which is a child token for your game. So if you want, and you can actually even map an ERC like an Ethereum token to proxy into that contract, so that you can raise funds outside of the Genius ecosystem and then turn around and use the Genius subsystem with your own token. So you can proxy your contract into the Genius contract for your child token, which is kind of something I came up with because one of the devs is working on his own project, and he was kind of asking about that. And I said, oh, I don't know if you can do that. And then I went and looked. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, you could make your own ERC20 token and then just proxy that, raise on one of the launch pads, put all the money in that smart contract that's outside of Genius, and then turn around and buy your Genius child token inside our smart contract, or move mint them in our smart contract, and then you basically proxy any requests into the Genius smart contract, like transfer of your token or any of that kind of stuff. So it's kind of cool. That's for the future though. I'm kind of getting off the rails here because that's post testnet for sure. But in general, you can create your own token on our smart contract. We can give you permissions to do that. And then that creates a child token. You don't have to create a child token though. You can just embed and get Genius tokens if you want. But yeah, just linking to the SDK, that's one of the millions of people that want to onboard. That's what we're saying. Is like, yeah, you can do that, but just kind of let's hold off for like the first 100. Let's make sure that we can take care of them, because the one thing is we want to make sure that the onboarding is frictionless for everybody. And right now we kind of have to white glove the approach for the first 100, and then the 200,000 we can kind of white glove. But after that, it's going to be like, hey, look, link to our SDK, read the documentation. If you have issues, we don't have an army of developer relations engineers to help every indie game and things like that. I'd love to have that eventually. Maybe we can pay out in Genius tokens for that or something. But sorry, go ahead.
So some of those mechanics that Ken is sharing there, he says, well, that's after we get through testnet. That's kind of an example of what we were discussing earlier, the needing to pull Ken out of Lightspeed to make certain that we're capturing the details of these plans so that we're properly documenting, et cetera, building towards it. That's kind of one of my jobs, is to strap him down to a chair and make sure that we're extracting all the goodness in a fashion that is we can record, and record, implement, move through with. Okay. Yeah,
because that technology's been there to be able for game developers to create their own token for something like 3 years, and Brent hasn't been working, hasn't seen those smart contracts or know how that works, and It is maybe documented somewhere. I think I have, but now, I'm just in Lightspeed right now, so I couldn't kind of point Brent or have him go look. He's in Lightspeed with me trying to get the testnet out, so I don't want him working on that documentation right now. But to be honest, it's fairly simple to do it, but it's just knowing where the bodies are buried kind of thing.
Welcome to software.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to our next one. Can you tell us more about the hockey stick effect and the burn mechanism built into GNUS Tokenomics?
Yeah, so we have some levers inside the smart contract that basically say, based on several things, the hockey stick thing happens because of the number of transactions. So it's all transaction based. So if we go through one cycle, okay, let's say we set a percentage burn, which we're initially thinking 10% burn. And what that means is that for every cycle of however many GNUS tokens are outstanding, if all of them 100% get used in AI processing, so that's a cycle to me in an AI transaction. So let's say we have 1 million tokens and 1 million tokens get used for out there, just for round numbers, and we have 1 million AI transactions or a X number of transactions that use 1 million tokens of Gnus.Ai. Okay, after that payout goes out to everybody, we burn 10% of the tokens when the AI processing is finished. So we take those tokens right off the table. Either we mint them or more than likely they come from the market. So what we end up doing is, as they deposit those tokens to be used in AI, we say, okay, 10% are for us, 10% are for burn, and 80% go out to people for the AI processing. And so now the AI processing gets finished, we take 10% of those tokens and we just burn them. And so that's what happens. And so if you burn exactly the amount of tokens that are outstanding or in the float, or basically in the float, the rest of the holders now have 900,000. There's 900,000 tokens in the float if you burn 10% of 1 million. And so those remaining token holders' price should increase by 11.1% every time that happens. So for us, that hockey stick was the thing that's in our PowerPoint presentation was done with machinations and something called what's that called? So my mind's all over the place.
Monte Carlo?
Yeah, Monte Carlo analysis. Thanks for that, Brent. I'm telling you, my mind's in Lightspeed still. I'm chomping at the bit to get back onto the finishing the code. But Monte Carlo analysis, and we did it with 10 nodes or 10 games doing processing, and maybe they had 10 users, so about 100 kind of nodes operating at any given time, and two enterprise companies or AI processing companies that needed AI coming in and doing AI processing. We also put levers in there for how much we would burn, how much people were selling when they were doing the AI. And we got pretty aggressive with people selling. And then even turning off the AI processing, it's still hockey sticked. And I'll kind of explain why really quickly, is that the secondary part of this is that inside our wallet, when you want to trade on your NFT on Super Genius Network or trade it to Genius, we actually we kind of have a tax, but it's really hidden because we're transparent about it, but it's hidden. So like if you went out there and something was $1, you're actually going to only get 98.5 cents for it, because we take 2.5% and we use part of that for gas, so you don't have to worry about paying gas out to Ethereum, and then we take 1% of that and put that back into our treasury to kind of help operate the network. It's just like if you traded it on Uniswap or anything like that, and you're paying gas fees. We're just kind of burying the gas fees in the percentage, and then also the 1% is like if you trade on Uniswap, you're actually paying a 1% tax on Uniswap in fees for that, and so we're just kind of burying it in there. But it goes back to the treasury and the ecosystem to help maintain the network, but also so that you don't have to pay gas fees, or there kind of hidden, or I wouldn't call it hidden. It's more to reduce the friction of you trying to trade the token in and out of, Ethereum or EVM or Bitcoin networks. That's why we're doing it. It's just, I hated the way you have to figure out gas, and sometimes it wouldn't go through because you didn't have enough gas, or gas prices changed, and so the thing wouldn't go through, and all that. And it's like, we should just get rid of that and just hide it in the fees, so people don't have to worry about it. And that helps kind of the Super Genius network. Now, if you traded on the Super Genius network itself, like between nodes on the Super Genius network, that particular NFT, there's no gas fees. And so we're just kind of trying to make it frictionless when you bridge out of our Super Genius into the other network. So, sorry, what was the question? I think I got off topic there.
No, I think that, let's see, you covered it. And actually, I'm already reading through the questions myself.
Okay.
We were talking about the hockey stick effect.
Oh, the hockey stick. Right. Okay. I tell you, Brent's right. I'm in Lightspeed thinking about coding right now. So, I mean, I love this stuff too, but it takes me, it's already taken me, 30 minutes to kind of switch gears a little bit into talking about the hockey stick. So, back to the Monte Carlo analysis. So, yeah, we have all those levers, and you're free to go in there and kind of tweak that. Like I said, we only picked 10 nodes with like 10 people, but you can ramp up with the levers, the number of selling that's going on, the number of, we shut down, my point about the transactions on the NFT was we shut down the AI, or lowered it almost to nothing, the AI processing coming in, but it's still hockey stick because of the NFT transactions, right? Or people selling their token, so there is kind of a tax a little bit, because if you sell your token out to Ethereum, or bridge it out to Ethereum, we take that 1%. It's a 1% tax, just like you'd have on Uniswap. So that makes it hockey stick too, because we can turn around and use the treasury to burn tokens or buy tokens. And so it's all built in these different levers that you can tweak, and feel free to run the machinations or copy the machinations.io Monte Carlo analysis or simulator and run it yourself and see. I mean, this stuff was all done 3 or 4 years ago. And so moving forward, go ahead.
This actually reminds me of our topic of bounty. Having bounties for finding bugs. We even discussed previously, having a bounty for, like, if you spot something about the model as stated that you think could use an improvement. And I don't think we've got that model, the bounty system up yet, but we want to put that in place. We're really quite confident what we're doing. However, many eyes are a good thing to have. I mean, that's why our code is open source, et cetera. We want to have the feedback. So.
Yeah, and after Testnet, we are also going to, I personally have a goal to hire a very good security team to not only audit the smart contracts, which have been audited twice before. There's really been no changes to the smart contract side of things, but we really need some really good audits, and I have a couple guys in mind for that. To really audit the Super Genius network transactions and things like that, and that's why we have the testnet, right? The testnet is like, look, we don't need an audit right now because we have the levers to basically say, oh, this is broken. Let's not have that transaction go through, or let's reset something. We have all that capability, so it's not a big issue. That's kind of that, and so think of the testnet to mainnet as really intense security audit for us, right? That's really what it is. So in general, the testnet will operate exactly like the mainnet will, with AI going out, but we just have this lever that says, yes, go ahead and, it's like going to a teller or an ATM, right? You can put in your passcode, and then the ATM or the teller at a bank goes, yeah, I know, give me your ID. Okay, I know you, here you go. You can have your money, type of thing. That's all testnet is compared to mainnet to me.
So we've got next on the docket here is actually not a question, it's a comment. It just simply says, your social media game has stepped up on X. Please keep up this momentum. We'd like to be informed and involved. We did already allude to this. I guess I will go ahead and call it out, officially, a thanks for that comment. And yeah, it is our intent to be indeed engaged in that game, particularly when we're so close. And I think that as you're listening to this, you can hear kind of the intensity necessity both for Ken and myself. And we keep on making these references to Lightspeed. And I got to say, boy, it is like a lot of intense work right now. And pausing for the AMA is just an interesting experience to say the least, because, as soon as we're done with this, bam, it's back into the work again. So I don't know if Ken, if you got anything further you want to say on that.
No, just come on, Chewie, let's go. I feel like Han Solo. Come on, Chewie, get on the back guns there, buddy. In the Millennium Falcon. That's really what I feel like right now. It's kind of funny.
And hopefully not the Empire Strikes Back version of the Millennium Falcon.
Well, they won against the Empire Strikes Back. So who's the Empire? Probably AWS and Microsoft. Yeah.
All right, let's see. The questions are jumbling around a little bit, so that just kind of...
That means people are adding questions to it, yeah, so...
Yeah, let me see. As I jumble, I lost my spot. I see, if I roll backwards, I see, I just saw that the DAO does not offer any service yet. DAO is in TAO, does not earn any income, has no customers. Does Genius already have customers or a company who will buy the token? Yeah,
actually we do. We have a couple. And yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that, because TAO's all smoke and mirrors, and I did not know that. I thought they had some ability to use their system. The beauty of Genius is that we can actually, and we probably will, leverage some of those other systems, because some of our customers are asking for TAO and Render. We could leverage the devices over there very easily. Just install our wallet on those devices, and then boom, you can use TAO or you can use ours. We talked about, I think we alluded to this last week, where Paloma can basically divert the AI to our system or BitTensor or Render based on price. We're always going to be cheaper than all of them. So that's good news for us. Secondarily, something called Run on Flux, or Flux.io, I think it is. They have a bunch of Docker containers that run just regular old cloud-like instances of CPU stuff, like for databases and things like that. And some of our customers have said, hey, we know you're reducing or can reduce our AI processing and the use of GPU, which is the new thing right now, but we still have this old school. Can you also do it for the non-compute or the non-AI stuff, for like hosting our databases and things like that? And how can we do that? And at first I was like, no, we're not going to do that, but we can partner with Run on Flux, right, for these big deals with these companies that want to reduce it. It's like, okay, we'll reduce your 80%, and then we'll make our payment systems kind of go over to these. We'll kind of bridge to these other DPINs that aren't doing what we're doing, and use them for your other cloud services that you're trying to replace. So yeah, we do have customers already. In fact, believe it or not, the NextLogic, besides providing all the nodes, is actually a customer as well. That's what we're finding is, we have customers lined up. One of them, very, very, very big company, that said if once we get going and we get to mainnet, they had $1 billion of AI that they could not provide the hardware and stuff for a very big health company. But there's still some issues with, privacy and things like that, which, by the way, we do have built in to our system. That's why some of this has been taking a little bit longer. The multi-party computation has privacy built in, by the way, too. And two-factor authentication, so that if you want two-factor authentication on top of your to be able to transfer your money, we integrate that. So then you can use Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator before a transaction happens. That way, if your wallet ever gets hacked, they won't have your two-factor authentication. And so it's kind of a part of the second patent pending that we've already filed, was that two-factor authentication built into the smart contract. So.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to get myself oriented back into where we are with these questions switching around. We've already covered the Q3 topic. Let's see, we've got here the question, what key partnerships and companies do you have confirmed to onboard with the Genius platform?
Well, like I said, NextLogic's confirmed to onboard, both, as a customer and a partner at the same time. Trying to think who else. I think we have a agreement with RightStream as well. Other than that, I don't. You're asking me questions that I know we have others, but some of them we probably are not at liberty to disclose right now. Like I said, I kind of mentioned that we have good commitment, verbal commitments from a couple people, but they're like waiting for the SDK to be ready, and and then we'll sign the letter of intents. That's what we've been focused on. We have built a couple partnerships, but then we were like, whoa, slow down. Like we said, it takes a lot of time to white glove service that, and so we've got 2,000 plus people that have signed up for games and different things, and so now it's just as soon as the testnet's done, then we can go full force white glove service for all the people that are coming to us and pick and choose the bigger bang for the buck type of thing, companies that want to onboard. But yeah, it's amazing.
So I want to kind of, speak to the energy of this question. When you're looking to understand, how does Genius fit into the whole ecosystem, or any kind of venture or enterprise, you want to know about the partners that they have, got agreements with, et cetera, to have a reflection on their strength or viability, et cetera. So that's obviously the energy of this question. The thing is that, as we've been saying over and over again, we really kind of have the opposite problem. It's not the, wow, what can we do to secure a key partnership? It's like, my goodness, there's such a long list of people banging in the door. We've just got the opposite of like, hold on, slow down. So rather than our energies being directed towards, let's make certain we get this next key one, this next key one. It's like, no, let's get the product out the door, and then just allow ourselves, once we're comfortable with where we are, to open up the floodgates and let in the deluge of these different partnerships to go ahead and just hit us.
Yeah, and I will say one thing. I mean, Tau kind of took a different approach where they basically don't have a product, and then they're launching, and and then they're trying to acquire customers, but they don't really have either, I think their product can work. I mean, might be working. I don't know for a fact. I mean, I think somebody said it wasn't, but, or they're not getting the nodes. The thing is that they have to first convince these, high-end nodes, to not use some other system like mining, for instance, or proof of work, or, home computer might be doing something else, right? And so they have to convince partners to come on board first, and have their system there and have all the nodes, and then turn around and go get their customers, right? We kind of have the inverse problem where we have all the nodes ready to go, just getting our product completely finished so, it's secure. Then there's people banging at the door to say, okay, you already have the nodes. Tau doesn't have the nodes. They have to market and build it up and build up their partner database first. And we have exactly the opposite because of how we integrated with, I don't know if you saw my last tweet, but I just made a kind of a half-ass joke kind of tweet where it basically talks about TLA, that I'm adding to the TLA world. And I did spell out what TLA meant in my tweet, just so everybody knows. It stands for 3-letter acronyms, and it's kind of a running joke in the industry. Oh, what TLA dictionary do I have to learn when I work at this new company? Because you go in there and it's like TLA this, TLA that, TLA that, and you're like, what? OMG means something completely different between you and me in this company or this company, or RFAs or RFPs, and oh my God. So I always spell out my TLAs the first time I use them, and I did that in the tweet. So we're kind of, but in general, because other DPINs that are kind of people think are our competitors really aren't, because you have to create dApps. And so you have this kind of long cycle of create the blockchain, now create the dApp, now integrate them together. And I called it POAs. We integrate with POAs, plain old applications, right? We do not have to create a dApp. You do not have to create a dApp. You do not have to write the interface to go into here. So we have a really, really big advantage in that people can onboard like within 20 minutes. Like we can onboard partners in 20 minutes. And then, once they're onboarded, the 200,000 nodes, then we just go to the other one and say, okay, now you can, here's all the nodes, they onboarded in 20 minutes, where, we don't have to go out and market and search for our partners because we integrate with plain old apps. Those are our partners, and we give them a monetization channel. Where those other guys have to go out and say, hey, your home device, we want you to use it with Tau versus Render, right? And there's like, sorry, there's no customers yet, but please install our system on there. In the meanwhile, Render might have some customers, and so they're like, oh, hey, use our system. Where the other devices or the other things that we integrate, our nodes, they do not have the access to basically install like those Render or those BitTensor, and they don't need to. They're just like, I'm just playing a game. I don't need to install a static thing on that device and then choose what system I'm going to use. I'm just playing a game, and great that GNUS is in the background. So that reduces our friction for us internally to get partners to provide the nodes. And so, yeah, in general, sorry, I'm kind of going off on a tangent there. I'm starting to like this, but I think we need to go on to the next question. Or
yeah.
I'm rambling.
Well, it's the energy that you're bleeding off, which is what we're all kind of riding right now, which is like, okay, go. Okay, next question. There's an insane amount of tokens being unlocked in February. So will some of these be relocked and gradually released? This person says, quite concerning in terms of price dilution.
Yeah, so there's not a lot of tokens actually being unlocked. Yes, there is, but you have to realize that almost 10 million of those are mine and the team's tokens, and they're, like I said before, they're never going to come to market into the market and flood the market and drive the price down, no matter what. I won't let it happen, and the team won't let it happen, because we don't want and by that time, it may not even make a difference, if we sell a little tiny bit here and there, because of like we said, the hockey stick effect and the number of transactions that are happening. We'll be well on, the way of executing and doing, billions of transactions a day come February or March anyway. But like I said, there are a few out there, but not a ton. And I believe by that time that the execution will happen where the price will be up into some ungodly amount where people will just be like, oh, I'll sell a few of them, and I won't blast them out to the market, and in general. But yeah, I understand the point. That's how most things operate, where, they'll just have a bunch of unlocks. But these unlocks, like I said, are mainly me and the team. And so, if I had given those out to some investor, sure, I'd understand your concern, but, the investor that they were given out to is me and my trust. So it's not like, you're going to not know that I'm blasting them out, because I'm very transparent of where those tokens are in my wallets and all that. And I have no intention of just blasting those out to the market, especially. I might do some OTC sales eventually, maybe. But it'll be, yeah. I just have no plans on selling any of it anytime soon. Anyway, I don't need it, and maybe if I get my original investment back, that would be great eventually. But I also, the other reasons I don't want to sell those is tax reasons, because if I build up the company and I sell. Or I take it public and use a stock-based system, I can be 100% tax-free in the stock sale, right? Whereas if I sell the tokens, I don't have to pay a crap load of taxes on that, and to the U.S. government, and so strategically, it doesn't make sense to blow those out to the market either, because then I can just have this huge tax bill on top of it.
I want to go ahead and kind of echo in here that, what Ken is saying here publicly is also what he discusses internally, whether it be, conversations he's had with me, one-on-one, bringing me on board, conversations he's had in front of the development team, where he has addressed this very topic that, we're not going to allow our tokens to be, utilized in a fashion that undermines the it's the value of the tokens, the Genius network, Genius AI, and that all of us need to be committed to the success of this project. And the fact that there's money to be made, that's great. But doing something that unscrupulous in February or March with all these tokens being locked is not I can say internally that's the same thing that Ken has been saying for us and we're all on board with that. We get that. So I just want to go ahead and amplify that point that there's not going to be an issue in February.
Yeah, and also the tokens that are locked are in a team wallet that's controlled by the multi-sig, so that when you hit the milestone, I mean, the people on board that have been helping out need to be, here when it unlocks. Like, it's a cliff, and it's just like any stock option that you have. If you quit your job, you're not going to get, stock until the cliff happens. So that's kind of golden handcuffs for everybody. But I don't think I really need to have golden handcuffs on anybody because they love the project that's working on it. But there are some golden handcuffs in there where we control the wallet goes to the team wallet, and then we say, okay, hey, come to us and let us know kind of what you want to do, and then we have the first right of refusal to buy those back too. So if we built up the treasury through the AI processing, we can buy them directly back from them, or find them an OTC deal and say, hey, look, you can take out this much because we feel like it's only going to affect the price this much. But in general, we have two steps before that. It's like, okay, we'll buy them back from you directly and burn them, or we'll find you an OTC deal that's pretty good, and maybe I'll even buy some of them in the OTC deal. So it's just kind of that's how we're mitigating the typical pump and dump or the unlock that happens and really floods the market with the tokens. All right, so I think we probably need to move a little bit faster on some of these questions.
Yeah, we beat that one up. All right, so 2 more questions I'm seeing here. What games will we be able to play on the soft launch?
So we've showed the one game off that we will have there. And it's really up to any of the game developers that come in. Like we said, it take them probably about a half an hour to basically integrate and launch their game. So I don't know what other games there are. We have our one internally that we're going to do for soft launch. But as soon as we soft launch, then within a day or two, people can basically launch other games and other things on the network with doing nothing, really nothing, almost nothing, just linking to our SDK and blah, you can play some other game. So it could be any number of games that want to do it. We haven't lined up additional things because we're so focused on our own getting the testnet out and making sure we have the sample game showing off that. So you will be able to play that shmup game from the start. So
yeah. The emphasis is otherwise kind of the white glove treatment for those partners that are coming in with a lot of nodes. But the games will be there. The games will be there. Okay, next one. Do we need to raise funds for the potential acquisition of a competitor due to a patent violation? Do you plan to use Genius tokens for that purpose? Or will you raise other funds?
So I'm being very careful. I am not raising funds from venture capital because they'll destroy a company and try to pivot it a lot of times. There's some good venture capital out there. I don't think Andreessen Horowitz or A16Z does that, but in general, I don't have time for dog and pony shows with that, but we're raising funds in a different way, where we're talking with some very big family offices and things like that have a bunch of companies that want to use the AI. So what we're doing is saying, hey, why don't you pre-purchase the commodity and we'll give you a discount. So pre-purchase the Genius tokens in kind of a locked contract. And if you want to hold them and trade them, then we'll lock you in for 6-month cliff and an 18-month vesting period. Otherwise, if you want to just use them, then we'll unlock them for you and you can use them in the network. So, but just go ahead and buy them and buy this amount, and then you get kind of a almost a futures trading on the commodity, and the commodity is the GPU usage, basically. And so, in general, that's a better way for us to raise capital because we don't dilute, and then they're actually using the system, and that money would then turn around and be used to do the acquisitions that we have in mind. And we have an investment memo out right now to a lot of family offices, and we have a partner that is talking with all the family offices, and I've had a bunch of calls with those, and it's kind of interrupted the testnet a little bit. But the reason I don't want to go out and raise money and do the VC route is because I've done it before. It's 200% of your time to do the dog and pony shows and do the raise, whereas the family office thing is like Dan, who's our partner, is just, hey, help me a little bit, with craft the investment memo. So it's probably taken me an hour over the last couple of weeks, and then get on a phone call every once in a while, like once a week for 20, 30 minutes to talk with these family offices. And they're more interested in my background than they are of how they're going to make money, a lot of them, because they realize that I can reduce their cost by 80% in the AI. So that's how we're looking to raise funds, and it also keeps the project kind of pristine from the speculators and driving the price up and down as well, because we lock them out for 6-month cliff and 18-month if they want to speculate, but we're more interested in them giving them the opportunity to actually utilize the tokens through the system, which causes the burn to happen and all that. So
well, it turns out that was all of the questions on our docket.
You sure?
It was a short list compared to only 11 questions. We've had double that, in a previous AMA. So yeah, but there we are. And I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, given how much we both want to just jump back into the game.
Also, I don't want to beat a dead horse. Speaking of gift horse in the mouth, either. That's what I feel like I was doing on a couple of those questions. Like, okay, Ken, we get it. Shut up now. With that, actually, that brings us to kind of the hour mark. Maybe that is a pretty good place to wrap up. And we're going to have our next AMA this Thursday. Is that correct? Yeah, every Thursday at 9:30. That's the plan. We may switch it up a little bit because a couple communities have asked us to go and do it on their channel. I prefer to do it on ours, and have them as a host, and we'll have some of those probably. But in general, I think the calls that we are going to be doing and the panels that we are going to be doing, especially the one group that we're doing, it really is a step up from the kind of AMAs that we've done in the past. I mean, it's a big step up. He's like the 8th biggest Cole out there, or influencer, if you will. He has some pretty large YouTube channels and all that. So I'm actually, believe it or not, somebody said to me, and I'm going to see if I can follow up on this, that they had that I should be on Joe Rogan. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool. I'd love to debate Elon Musk or just talk about some of the AI stuff on there. But in general, he's like, oh, I know him and I could set that up. And I'm like, what? And so I'm going to contact the guy and see if he really can set that up where I'd go on Joe Rogan. That'd be cool. That'd be a great call to have, huh? I mean...
Then, of course, there's the other voices, which like I'm raising now, which is like, okay, that's killer, and yet let's get this out the door.
Yeah.
Focus.
Well, yeah, that's why I haven't contacted him yet. I haven't asked the guy. I mean, it would be a couple weeks anyway, and I think by that time we'll, I'll still be alive, and Testnet will be alive. So.
And by the way, that reference to 9:30 for this Thursday, that's Pacific time, 9:30 yes. Pacific time.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows, Pacific time changes. GMT, it goes between -700 and 0700 and -0800. I think it's -07 GMT -7 right now, because we have this really messed up thing called daylight savings time. Which I wish we would get rid of, but we haven't been able to. And I know some countries don't even have that, and I think Arizona doesn't do it, right?
It does not, and not too long ago, Mexico, or at least Mexico City, has ceased to apply daylight savings. Perhaps, though, if this is important enough, Ken, we can add it to our task list in GitHub and get rid of daylight savings.
Yeah. Well, now it's time to get the Millennium Falcon back into light speed on Testnet, Chewy.
Absolutely.
Now go like this, Brent. Go like Chewy did.
You Chewy, huh?
Yeah. You're Chewy now.
Okay.
And I'm Han Solo. So let's go.